There appears to be no end in sight to the battle between former President Jacob Zuma and Chairperson of the State Capture Commission, Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. Zuma has accused Zondo of making false statements about the nature of their friendship and of making himself a witness and a judge in his own case in a review application filed in the Pretoria High Court this week. Zuma said he would not be participating in the Commission's case lodged with the Concourt and has also approached the courts seeking to have Zondo removed from chairing the Commission. But as this legal battle rages on, what does it mean for the work and the integrity of the Commission? To speak to us more on this, we are joined by Adv Mosima Rasesemola, who is a director at Musima Legal and Lecturer at TUT. A very good morning to you, Adv Mosima. Thank you for your time and thank you so much for joining us on Weekend Dawn. So it seems as though Jacob Zuma's appearance at the State Capture Commission is going to be delayed yet again. What's going to happen next? What's next from here?
Well, it really depends whether it will be delayed or not. Remember, from the side of the Commission, there is an attempt at, or at least they're making efforts to appear before the Constitutional Court on the 29th of December, where the issue will be heard to determine whether they can still effect the subpoenas in January and in February on the dates that they've allocated him. This is provided the Constitutional Court grants them direct access to the court in order for that court, the Constitutional Court, to make a decision on the issues that they have raised in their papers. So that is going to happen before the review application actually happens, because that in the Pretoria High Court is going to take a much longer time in order to unfold. So essentially what we're waiting on is to see how the Constitutional Court decides on the urgent application that the Commission has handed in and which will be argued on the 29th of December. And given the judgment that they will make, what then will be the decision or the actions on the part of former President Jacob Zuma with regards to the ruling that the Constitutional Court will make.
So it seems as though the former president is trying his utmost best to not appear at the State Capture Commission. Is there any thinking or reasoning behind that?
Well, I think because from a legal perspective, and this will be like an assessment or an analysis on the legal issues that are being raised on both sides, right? So from the standpoint of the former president, it is the idea that while he's at the Commission of Inquiry, there are certain things that happen or that are done that make him feel as though he's been treated perhaps differently or a bit unfairly. And that he has been able to ground in the relationship that he has with the chairperson, Deputy Chief Justice Zondo, in order to then rationalize why he feels that him coming there is unjust on his part or it's unfair on his part. So there is that, the legal interpretation of his actions and why he feels compelled. And I just want to say that given what we've chosen as a legal system in South Africa, to a certain extent, it's permissible for him to do that, right? However, we always go back and refer to the terms of reference of the Commission of Inquiry to say that on an interpretation, he is very central to those proceedings and the fact-finding process or expedition that the Commission is on, and therefore it is inherent that he would be placed at the same time. The type of questions that get asked will be asked in that Commission of Inquiry. But it is also, as the Commission has rationalized, and even the Pretoria High Court in the PP judgment that they made in 2016 to rationalize, to say that he has a constitutional duty as former president and as a bearer of public responsibility and public power to then account for instances where the public protector has identified that there might have been problems. So I think for former President Jacob Zuma, it's about balancing those two, his individual right to be treated fairly at the Commission of Inquiry against his constitutional duty to account and to stick to his obligations or the constitutional obligations upon him as a person who has exercised public power to then account to the public.
And that's where I was going with my next question, that he's obliged to appear before the Zondo Commission regardless of this review application. So what happens then in 2021 when he is supposed to appear for the 10 days regardless of the review application? What would the next move be?
Well, I think everything at this point is dependent on what the Constitutional Court decides. Remember, there's two steps that the Zondo Commission needs to overcome in their approach. Firstly, it's a question that the Constitutional Court takes very seriously, and that is a question of whether a litigant can have direct access to the court, right? And how the Zondo Commission has rationalized direct access is that there's already constitutional issues with regard to the constitutional obligations of the president for him to appear before the commission, and therefore that is the basic justification and the exceptional circumstances that are created for obtaining direct access. The Constitutional Court can still decide otherwise and not even hear the matter or on the merits. But provided they do, a ruling in this regard will firstly, if it favors the commission, mean that there's a declaration of unlawfulness of his actions in leaving the commission. I think it was a while back in November after the recusal application was heard, and Deputy Chief Justice made his ruling on not recusing himself. There will also be a declaration to say that he is obliged or he will be compelled to step in as witness, and that the only privilege he can invoke is a privilege not to self-incriminate himself, but he has to come to the commission and he has to have questions put to him and then answered, right? So if there is an order to compel him in law that is enforceable, and he does need to arrive at the commission, unless he can give an excuse by way of ill health and other circumstances of ill health that will then permit him to be excused on those days.
All right, thank you for your time. That was Advocate Mosima Rasesemola, who is the director at the Musima Legal and Lecturer at TUT. We were chatting about what's going to be happening on the 29th of December. Will Jacob Zuma appear at the State Capture Commission? We'll all wait and see.